In the recent weeks, I've been going through all of the mainline Halo campaigns, as well as Reach and ODST with my boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming, and last night we got to Halo 5. I was really excited to give this campaign another shot after my initial playthrough at its release. I guess I was hoping to come out with a different perspective than what I came out with the first time I beat this game. And now I want to say up front that this will not be a slander video on Halo 5. I know that there are tons of people who poured their hearts and souls into this game, and there are areas where that truly does pay off. But there's just so much that feels off about this game, and with Halo Infinite around the corner, I wanted to go over and give what my true thoughts are on Halo 5 Guardians. So, let's get right into the video. Halo 5 is a game that tries so hard to carve out its own identity within the series that it succeeds at doing so for all the wrong reasons, in my opinion. And before I get into all that, I want to make it clear that Halo 5 isn't a bad game. In fact, I'd say it's a good game. The problem has never been that it isn't at its core a good game. The problem is that it's a very bad Halo game. I think the first thing I want to talk about is that in Halo 5 you play as either Spartan Locke or Master Chief. Both of these characters, as we know, are Spartans. And Spartans are supposed to be these badass, unstoppable war heroes. And the parts of Halo 5 Guardians where you feel like a badass Spartan are very few and far between. I mean, I don't have all of the video, but trust me when I say the amount of times during our playthrough where I found myself just sitting back, sniping at enemies in the distance while going in and out of cover as to not get instantly lasered and killed by these Promethean weapons is just astounding. And while all of this is happening, you can't help but think, I don't feel like I am a Spartan right now. And honestly, it kind of just makes you feel like some sort of moderately souped up standard Halo Marine. But even with that being said, I think there are some really cool moments in this game that genuinely do give you the feeling of being an unstoppable Spartan, like the start of the Genesis mission that sees Spartan Locke and Osiris team storming down the side of a Guardian as you take out Prometheans along the way. This is a really cool gameplay sequence within the game. I just think it'd be nice if you got this feeling of being that unstoppable more often throughout the game. And actually, I want to interject on myself right now because I actually thought of something while editing this video that I completely blanked on while writing down notes for this video. And that is the fact that if you're someone who hasn't beaten Spartan Ops in Halo 4, and you hop right into Halo 5 after beating the main story of Halo 4, and you see Dr. Halsey, you're like, why the fuck is she missing an arm? And that's because if you haven't played Spartan Ops, you don't know that at the end of Spartan Ops, she has to get her arm amputated by Jul 'Mdama because of a botched assassination. And listen guys, I'm not a game designer and I've never claimed to be one. But in my opinion, that is something that you should have at the end of Halo 4's main story or the beginning of Halo 5's main story. Because listen, as good as Spartan Ops was, let's be realistic, not everyone played their way through that. So that is one giant detail that is completely missing for a lot of players on their first playthrough for this game. And up next, I want to talk about the boss fights, or I guess I should call it boss fight, because it really is just one fight that you have to do over and over again against the same boss. Of course, I'm talking about Warden Eternal. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I'm sure you've already heard it and seen it dozens of times in any video that covers Halo 5. But you fight this dude 7 times over the course of this game, with each fight playing out pretty much the same. You shoot him until he's staggered, and then you shoot the orb thingy in his back until he explodes. But what makes this all seem so pointless is that you're actually fighting an enemy with millions of bodies. I mean, there's literally a point in the game where Cortana says that he has one mind but millions of bodies. So even when you do complete a tough battle with this guy, there's no rewarding feeling, and in fact, you're just left with the feeling of, I guess I gotta do that again, probably. And him having millions of bodies also raises the question of, if he has millions of bodies, then why are literally all of them the same? But I digress from that point. What I'm really trying to say here is that it doesn't matter that we killed him 7 times in this game. It just feels like a pointless fight that gets dragged out over the course of the game as to keep you playing much longer than you feel like you need to. And I can almost guarantee that's not the feeling that 343 wanted folks to have when they played through this game. But then we get to some of my main gripes with this game, and that is the dialogue. And look, like I said in the intro, I'm not here to just straight up slander Halo 5, and I certainly wasn't a fly on the wall as this game was being made. I'm also sure that the people who helped write this game are in the industry for a reason, and I'm sure they are all very talented and passionate people, but that is really not what came through while playing this game. The dialogue in this game sort of seems like it's just there so there isn't complete silence in cutscenes. And what's weird is that there is occasionally some really good dialogue in this game, but whenever that happens, the cutscenes just end abruptly without expanding on or exploring what was just said. And I think my favorite example of this is this clip right here, so check it out.
Hey! Is anyone gonna answer me?
You're out of line, Roland.
Yes, sir, but so is everyone else. You created Cortana, Doc, and now you're throwing her out the airlock with these accusations.
Roland.
You think she tricked the Master Chief into abandoning his post? Respectfully, sir, to what end? Why is Cortana the problem? Because she refused to die when she was supposed to?
Listen to that. Things were just starting to heat up and tension was rising in the scene, but then bam, fade to black. How did no one think that that was worth expanding on? Roland raises a really good point, and instead of any response at all from either Halsey or Lasky, all we get is just fade to black. I genuinely do not understand that. But in the interest of keeping the video moving along, let's just get right into the next topic. And I think I want to close the video by talking about weapons. The weapons in this game outside of the DMR, the Covenant Carbine, and the Magnum just seem off. I mean, the light rifle feels kind of OP and so does the bolt shot. Hell, I'd even throw the suppressor in there, honestly. And speaking of Promethean weapons for a second, I think that the gameplay really suffers due to the homing nature of these weapons. I mean, you've almost always got to be behind some sort of cover if you're playing on Heroic or God forbid Legendary, because if you're not, then you're just going to get tracked by the bolt shot rounds or the suppressor rounds coming from hordes of crawlers and knights. And honestly, just forget about those Promethean knights with the incineration cannons, because once they shoot, if they hit anywhere near you, then the round just explodes and kills everything in your general area, including you. And all of this really falls into the category of difficulty, because if you play on normal, for the most part it's really manageable, and I don't have any problems at all. But it's once you get to Heroic or Legendary, where your deaths don't feel like mistakes on your part. It just feels sort of unfair. And this is a balance that I think most Halo games, especially in the original trilogy, struck really well. A balance that enabled you to feel like no matter how challenging an encounter, no matter how many times you died during this encounter, it would never feel unfair. And that's something that Halo 5 just doesn't seem to have, unfortunately. But I want to end this video on a high note, because believe it or not, there are some things that I genuinely love about Halo 5. I mean, being an Arbiter stan like myself, I obviously enjoy that he's back in the story for this game. And I enjoyed getting a chance to see him as the leader of the Swords of St. Helios. And actually, this leads into the next thing that I enjoy about this game, is that I actually think the level design in the campaign is genuinely good, especially in those missions featuring Arbiter. There always seems to be hidden pathways and multiple ways to get where you need to go, which is really nice as opposed to how a lot of similar games give you very limited options as to how to approach an encounter or how to get to where you need to go. And I also think that some of the set pieces you see in this game are some of the best that the series has to offer. They did a really great job at making environments and encounters both look and feel larger than life, and I certainly think that that's commendable. I said it earlier in the video, but I think it's worth saying again. All in all, I don't think Halo 5 is a bad game. I just think that it's a bad Halo game. But nearly 6 years after its release, and with Halo Infinite right around the corner, I'm more excited than I've ever been for 343 Industries, and I'm probably the most excited I've been for Halo since 2007, and it feels excellent to say that. But what about you guys? How do you feel about Halo 5 and its place within Halo history? Leave a comment below and let me know what you're thinking. Leave a like if you liked the video, and please remember to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the content, and ring the bell if you'd like to stay up to date on all my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.